The Battlefield leaks are getting out of control now. I'm sure that many of you have seen by now the crazy amount of leaked gameplay for the next Battlefield game. People uploading clips to YouTube, Reddit, Twitter. There was even someone streaming it on Twitch about 5 minutes after the initial BF Labs playtest went live. It's wild considering it's supposed to be under NDA and there could be legal implications there for the people that did this, but alas, a ton of stuff is out there now. However, over the last few days or so, data miners who are historically accurate with their information in the Battlefield franchise have got hold of the game files, and they found a bunch of stuff in there revealing an insane amount about what's potentially in store for us. And if it's all legit and it ends up being released, then I mean, we might have a massive game on our hands here. And get this, a bunch of maps set in the United States, which I know a lot of people have been asking for in Battlefield for a long time. There's been a few in the past, but not that many. Now, I don't know why all of this stuff was actually in the BF Labs game files, but apparently it was. And keep in mind that data mining is sometimes unreliable in terms of the code in the game files. It might be old, it might be experimental, could be features that DICE have worked on and dropped or don't plan to implement. It could also be interpreted incorrectly and liable to change, so just pinch of salt, please. With that said, I'm not going to show you any of the stuff that was discovered. There's a lot of images, even script for one of the single player dialogues, which is what, I don't know how they got that, but it's all out there now and it's not hard to find if you want to see it for yourself. But I will show you things and places that this stuff references and also the implications of that. So first things first, maps and loading screens. One of the biggest discoveries in the files was actually images of what looked to be loading screens or concept art for the maps in the new game. I've seen these myself and they all look finished. They look like legitimate art pieces made by hand. I don't see any evidence of AI generated sections in them. So I think they are real and they fall in line with a lot of the concept art that we've had in previous Battlefield titles. The images are for what appear to be 10, maybe 11 different maps, and we'll talk about the US ones to begin with. 2 of the images are clearly set in a war-torn New York. You can see soldiers fighting in the streets with destroyed buildings, and the Brooklyn Bridge is collapsed in the background at one point. We can see the Dumbo area. I'll throw up a couple of screenshots that I took on Google Maps with a rough approximation of where this takes place. We can even see street names, so it's 100% New York. The other US location looks to be Hollywood or California, and we can clearly see Sunset Boulevard in one of the images, all the palm trees, and another one shows a massive golf course with tanks rolling across it and a big downtown area in the background. If I can't drive a golf cart like in Bad Company, I'm going to be very sad. And the final US image shows rib boats making their way down the LA River, packed with soldiers firing their guns, and there's even a Sunset Boulevard sign knocked over in the river, but it's visible. Potentially 2 maps then set in the United States so far, and I personally am really looking forward to this. As I mentioned, this has been a massive request from the Battlefield community for a long time. The idea of fighting through famous US locations in Conquest with infantry, air and vehicle gameplay, landmarks, etc. It's a tantalizing prospect. Some of these images give me OG Modern Warfare vibes too, with the Russian invasion. The other images, their locations are a bit harder to pinpoint. Some of them are definitely from the Abbasid map that we saw in the first gameplay teaser and in the playtest video leaks. In others, we can see jets flying over mountains, shooting at each other, dumping flares, F-22, Su-57, F-16 and Gripen. So jets are pretty much all but confirmed for the game. There's images with a couple of different attack helicopters flying, tanks, infantry fighting vehicles. One of the locations looks like the final battle in Tenet, if you've seen that movie. Some of these locations are big spaces too, and I hope that we do get some bigger maps, of course, for that BF sandbox feel. Overall, in these images, I think the vibes are on point, but remember, it's just concept art and things could change. Like I said, it looks like there's around 10 to 11 different locations here, so that could be the number of maps that we're getting at launch. Significantly more than 2042 that only launched with 7, if my memory serves me correctly. There could be a lot of variety in the multiplayer at launch. Love that. Next, Portal. There were many references to Portal according to the data miners, including filters, customization, tags, free slots, maps, etc. I know that I'm being quite vague here, but there was a lot of stuff. and it would take me ages to go through all these lines, but it looks to be the next evolution of Portal if read in a certain light, which is cool to see. The potential of the original Portal was never realized in 2042. Number of reasons for that. That's because of the way it was designed, the way it was implemented, the way it was surfaced, etc. And I can only hope that we get an actual server browser in this game that is visible and accessible from the main menu, and it includes official servers as well as the ability to host permanent servers and build communities. It was almost perfect in Battlefield 4. DICE strayed away from that though in BF5 and 2042. And we've talked about this ad infinitum, so I'm not going to dwell on it today, but I think this is a really big deal and what historically sets Battlefield apart from other contemporary games that don't offer as much choice the way players want to play. It's a big factor. Next, test range. References were found for a test range in the game. Nice. We had this in BF4. It was a fun environment where you could spawn vehicles, guns, you could test your recoil, attachments out, etc. BF1 didn't have it. BF5 did have something similar. Some nice options in there, and we got nothing in 2042. Although you can play against bots, so maybe that's kind of a similar thing, but same but different. Test range, that's sweet. Fingers crossed it's in the game. All of the weapons in the game files have now been uncovered too. There are some bangers in there like the AEK, the G3, the L85A3, the Vector, the MRAD Sniper. In total, 41 primary weapons were found and 6 secondaries. If that's the number of guns at launch, amazing. This dwarfs the number of gun options that we had in 2042 when that released. And related to the weapons too, references to 25 different attachment slots for guns were discovered. That's insane. It doesn't mean that you'll have 25 options on every single gun, but it looks like a lot. We might actually be getting some serious Modern Warfare 19 level of gun customization here. Love that. I've seen an image with various different helmet customizations on it. There's like 25 in total. These could be options for players to change. You know how in BF5 you could change individual components of your soldier? Might be something like that. But another theory is that they are for different factions in the game, meaning that we might get multiple armies and these will change depending on which map or location that you're playing in. I'm happy to report too that none of these helmets look like weird COD cosmetics. They all looked grounded and based on military uniform, and I hope that DICE and Battlefield don't start putting weird, goofy skins in the game like COD have done, because that game has just completely lost its identity now. Next, Battle Royale. So when 2042 launched and it was a disaster, DICE and EA announced in December 2021 a big shake-up for their internal teams. New management, new positions. Vince Zampella took over as the overall boss of the Battlefield franchise. This was a whole big thing where they made announcements and an article went out on GameSpot. In that article, they talked about what's coming next. DICE would work on multiplayer. Seattle-based studio Ridgeline Games, which has since been shuttered, were to work on a narrative experience, single player, and Ripple Effect, previously DICE LA, was said to be working on a new experience for Battlefield. Many people assumed that this would be some kind of battle royale. Firestorm in BF5 was DICE's first attempt at a battle royale. They built that with Criterion. I had a lot of fun with it, but it wasn't free. Massive barrier to entry when all the other BRs at the time were free, and it basically had no updates. There was no live service for it. It was destined to fail, sadly. However, data mining in the BF Labs files has revealed that a Battlefield Royale is almost a certainty, and it's in the works. This is a message shared with permission from Temporal, one of the data miners to Achilles76 on Reddit. Here is a list of BR features which are referenced: solo, duo, trio, squad, insertion via MH47 Chinook, parachute/cut parachute, armor, hard soft, free-to-play component, missions, call-ins, loot rarity, upgrade kits, weapon upgrades, shrinking circle, probably fire, second chance, and respawn. Now, if you've followed my channel for a while, you'll probably know how I feel about this. I love the Battle Royale genre. I've played so many of those games now, and the idea of a Battlefield BR in modern day on the Frostbite engine with destruction, sick graphics, Battlefield gunplay and movement, transport vehicles, keeping it simple, and an actual pure Battle Royale experience, that is a very appealing thought to me. And I think if it was free to play and it was supported with a good live service, it would be a massive hit. However, I would like it to be separate to the main multiplayer and not interfere with that in any way. Yeah, have cross progression, the same guns, etc., but it would need to be its own standalone thing that didn't take resources away from core multiplayer. But it looks like it's real and it's on the way. And related to this, Temporal also shared a summary of a potential new game mode coming that might also be free to play. Again, this was a message that was shared on Reddit. It's an elimination mode for smaller teams, solo, duo, trio, and squad, featuring various mission types: circuit, contract, decryption, extraction, heist, rodeo, standoff, vendetta, wreckage. So you are doing an extraction mission and then a round of capture the flag. After that, maybe killing a high value target and so on. After each mission, only a certain number of teams advance to the next. Not sure about the exact procedure or numbers. The map appears to be the same as the Battle Royale, with points of interest like crash site, judging by the assets, most likely a crashed C-17, downtown, main street, marina, military base including R&D, and storage, and a tech center, probably also involving some kind of free-to-play approach. That kind of sounds like Battlefield meets the finals meets Mario Party. Again, I'm cool with this if it's a separate part of the game. VR and this other new game mode could be a great way to get people playing for free in the Battlefield ecosystem, and then maybe they decide to buy the game and try multiplayer too. It would be a good point of entry for people who play a lot of VR games, but not necessarily a lot of Battlefield and Conquest and Breakthrough. And that's about all we've got so far. Now, if you put all of this together, again, pinch of salt please. Single player, probably like 4 to 5 hours. Cinematic FPS gameplay. Multiplayer, that's the core of Battlefield. 10 to 11 maps at launch with a continuing live service that adds new maps, guns, vehicles, game modes. Portal, a big evolution of what we've had before, hopefully. And then you've got a modern Battlefield Battle Royale on the side. You've got this new Finals style game mode, both potentially free to play with a live service. All of that together, that sounds like a big package. And it's good in the sense that this could be a huge meal that we can dive into and take some time over, but potentially bad because you hope that all of the teams working on this can deliver a quality experience across the board that's all fun, and that they actually have enough time to finish it before launch and release it without a ton of bugs and quality issues like we've seen before. Lots of question marks here. I just really hope that there aren't too many cooks in the kitchen and we don't end up with a ton of fluff or filler for the sake of making it look like a bigger package. There's that phrase, a game for everyone is a game for no one. Battlefield has really got to focus on doing what it does best. And with that said, that's all for today, folks. Let me know your thoughts below. How are we feeling about all this? If you enjoyed the video, drop me a like. Thank you. That's much appreciated. Really thankful for your viewership and support. If you didn't like it, dislike it. Subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.